Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Well, it's another week, isn't it, of the SRF Weekend Warriors. And the tour this week rolls into Brazil at the Autodrome Jose Carlos base, or Interlagos, as it's more commonly known. And this iconic layout that's seen many great races over the year. And, well, it's just that just makes it such great racing. Drivers love it, fans love it, although the primitive paddocks, the backroom staff, the teams, they don't love it maybe so much, but you know full well that coming to Brazil, you're gonna get great action. I am Tim Cox, got Lewis Wright in the virtual production trailer, but as always, returning back after a week's hiatus, joined by Charles Michel. Charles, welcome along. I know we were saying before the show that you caught up on last week's action at Road Atlanta, and well, it was a wet and wild one, but should we have expected anything less from this series?
Hey, Tim, no, absolutely not. You got a grid, 54 cars, and it's basically, you know, half draft, half momentum chasing the entire race. Lots of on-track action. This is just an amazing series, and I'm looking forward to this race. This is one of my, I guess, least favorite tracks. I really struggle with this track, and it doesn't matter what car it's in. It could be anything. But it's a very challenging course with the elevation changes. You got some very long straights. You got some very tight corners that you have to keep your momentum. So it should be a very interesting race, and looking forward to calling it.
Definitely, it's for me. It's through turns from about turn 6 onwards, where you sort of snake around. You see it on the track map on your screen right now. With that, like you say, those undulations, off camber corners, it makes the car want to understeer. It feels a bit clunky at times, but equally, if you get side by side along through that, you can definitely get some great racing in. Well, qualifying, I tell you, that's well underway. We're going to have a big grid tonight, as always in this series. 55 cars, no less. Wow, who is going to come out on top? Well, I can tell you for now, being headed up by Felix Zamals, who's leading the timing standings at the moment. Dudu Castro in second. That's going to be a great result for him. The Brazilian is home track. Definitely looking for a strong run there. He is. Yugmani, as always, moved down to Masters, but has kept up the pace and has been charging at the front. Gustavo Ariel, we spoke to him last week after his victory. They said he's only had about 20 minutes practicing in the car. It's his friend Dudu Castro who had convinced him it was a great idea to come and join in the fun. He absolutely loved it, and he's back for another week. But at the moment, he's only in 5th only. That sort of can all change quickly. Gaspers has just displaced him down to that 3rd row of the grid as he's looking to get one over the Brazilian after last week's antics. Those two incredibly close all race long, and then with 4 titles to his name, definitely looking to go one better this week. And I suspect too, got to go a little bit down the order to find someone from there. Currently, it is Smith all the way down in 17th. I say all the way down, it's naturally, in terms of the grid, it's not that far down, really, is it, Charles? That's the crazy, stupid thing about this.
Yeah, you're still in the top third at 17th, so yeah, you're actually doing pretty well, even though it feels like that you're looking at a lot of cars in front of you. Yeah, Castro, obviously, is home track as far as iRacing is concerned. He had some really, really good pace last season and just never got a really good result. So I'm going to be watching him to see if he can put a complete race together today.
Oh, definitely. Since I started commentating on this series, he's someone who's improved over time, and I'd normally expect to see him somewhere around the cusp of the top 10. That would seem to be where he'd sort of got to and settled and dare I say it, peaked, but he's really ground things out. And as you can see, he's into, dropped down to 3rd now as Gustavo Ariel has displaced him. And, we've got, being Brazil, we've got 4 Brazilians in the top 10 right now. Adam Ariel, Castro, Dantas, and Turbina. Turbina had a great race last week at Rolanta, but then fell through the order a little bit later on. And hopefully with that raw pace that he displayed last week can go one better here this week and really strive and push through the field, opening up the corner. Young Cow there. Well, technically it's not the final corner, although really, Charles, it is in some ways. It's like from this point onwards, it's like turn 2 at Red Bull Ring, where it's more of it's just a king, but because the motorcycles have to take it as a full-on corner, that's why they get corner numbers.
Correct. Yeah. So it's the final corner that you have to maybe apply the brakes, and maybe downshift a little bit, but then you've got that straightaway that isn't straight, coming back up to the start finish line.
We have from there onwards, it's a wild ride. As Steve Elson, great to have the Brits, currently 2nd of the Brits as Bobby West up in 10th place. Winning the Battle of the Brits there, and he as just fractionally 200ths of a second in front of his fellow British in 18th, Christopher Smith, right now. And let's have a look at the clock. There we go, 5 minutes, 4 minutes and a half left in qualifying. And who is going to claim pole position here? I'll tell you, you've got quite a few drivers inside our top 7, all on out laps or about to head out onto them. Trying to go for one last time, but this is the challenge, isn't it, Charles, where you've got open qualifying session. They struggle in F1. They only have 20 cars. When you've got over 50,
right.
I mean, yes, these are a little bit smaller, but even so, I mean, it's such a challenge to have a clean lap, a lap to yourself.
It really is. It's and obviously they're not smaller, but also a lot slower than the modern day F1 cars. So yeah, it's clean track versus can I get a couple of tenths here and there by maybe catching a toe off somebody, and it's a very fine line that you have to manage.
You talk about the toe, Charles. It's a really interesting point, that, and realistically, the technical part of the circuit is half to 2/3 of the way around. So if you've had a cracking start to your lap, you've got lots of slipstream down the Reta Apostle. You can see Ian Gibson just heading down there now. That is great. But then you can trip up behind the car in front of you and lose all the time that you've just earned from getting that great run.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what I was saying. It's a very fine line. I think the optimum thing is you want to find a car that you can chase down in the infield to get the slipstream back up to the start-finish line. But, you got to have cooperation. And a lot of times the people around you don't really cooperate with you, especially when they're trying to set the fast lap also.
Well, that is, like you say, that is the great big trouble. And, I mean, it just showcases where someone like Marco Pinheiro, who has been so fast and right at the top for many a season, is currently only in, I say only in 6th right now on the 3rd row of the grid. And, well, only just, I mean, he's what, some 500ths of a second only quicker than Dantas. Fons Arabian, he's a 2-times champion, and while he's all the way down in 8th, it just showcases just how strong this grid is. Murakami has picked up numerous Masters Championships down in 11th, and as mentioned, expect to, you've normally had 1 or 2 of them inside the top 10. But I mean, as I was saying earlier, you've got to go all the way down to Todd Hanson currently, who's in 15th, to find your first Spec 2 driver. I mean, the quality of the field in the last few seasons has just improved exponentially.
Yeah, it really has. I think we were running, I want to say somewhere around 35 to 40 pretty consistently last season. So now you're getting close to just a full grid that iRacing can handle 60 cars, and so yeah, it's and then we're just going to bring in a pro licensed 10.7K driver just for fun of it, so you guys can have something else to worry about while you're out there. So yes, just like I said, it's a fantastic series.
It is, and well, like you say, it's just elevated up into the new levels when you've got, yeah, someone like Gaspis is around about 9K.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, that is ridiculously quick. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
And then you get someone who comes in who's 4,000 iRating higher, and at that level, I know I was speaking to a few of the pro drivers. I was chatting to, well, actually, Jamie Fluke, who used to run this series many moons ago of Apex Racing Team, and well, he was telling me that it's crazy, you know, other than the big officials, where there's a really high strength of field, it's the only real time for those drivers to gain I rating when you get around 10K. You know, they can win and pick up 2, 3, maybe 10 or 12 if they're lucky. Right. I rating. Yeah. It's a real grind once you get up to those levels. It
really is. If you're not on the podium at that point, when you're doing an official race, you're probably losing I rating, unless you've just got every big time driver in the iRacing service in the field with you. So you have to be very conscious. And yeah, so it's, you know, that's a real grind. I don't have that problem.
No, me alike as well. We're firmly in that club, but that's why we're in the commentary booth, isn't it?
Correct.
Rather than out on track. And I'm just having a bit of a look, Charles. Look at the spread of I rating. So to get below 3,000, which is a crazy number as it stands. Mm-hmm. We've got all the way down to 17th, which is Vice Lugial, and mm-hmm. he's 2.8K, nearly 2.9. He's only 9 I rating of 2.9. I mean, that is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the average is 1,400, which if you take that into account, you're looking all the way down to like the 40th place car, which is Bradford Fisher, who's 1,500. But absolutely crazy. We've got qualified just coming to an end now, and for our meandering and musings of our shockingly low I rating, Samaus looks like he's gonna clinch pole here, unless anyone can snatch it away from him at the depth. It looks like that is going to go to him, with Gustavo Ariel on the front row with him. So just see Steve Elson coming around to complete his lap. I'm not too sure if he's on a particularly good one here. Currently down in 18th. Say down in 18th, and well, it's still a strong position in terms of this grid. And we start to get to think about tactics, don't we, really, Charles? I mean, I think it's going to be the perennial, you know, I mean, we didn't see it too much last week, where we saw the top group break away, but then, well, they were fuel saving so much, they then got enveloped back into the chasing pack behind, who then swallowed them up, and went from about a 5-car breakaway group fight for the lead turned into approximately about a 12-15 car fight for the lead.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see something very similar today. Obviously, the pit strategy, when to come in and take fuel is, you know, we talk about Stevie Ray, you know, the founder of the league, is the first of the pitters most of the time. So I don't know. I think that's caught a couple people out last week. Some people kind of thrived coming through the field with those early pit stops, and some not so much.
Well, definitely. And there's one driver who we saw not too long ago, Andrea Spatoni. He's always one who tends to not really bother with qualifying, and then it's always fascinating watch him come through the field. He's currently lying down in, well, his qualifying is now officially over, going to transition across into the race session now. Yeah, he's all the way down in 50th. About 6 cars from the back. We've got 56 cars. Absolutely madness, but that's why we love this. Here is your grid for the second round of the season. Here from Interlagos in the SRF weekend. Warriors, Felix Samaus on pole. We've got Gustavo Ariel joining him on that front row. Dudu Castro has got David Gaspers for company on the second row with Yul Gmani, highest qualifier in Masters, joined by Marco Pinero. Evandro Dantas has got Forenz Arabian next to him, and Yao Turbinio rounding out 4 Brazilians in the top 10. That's Bobby West for company.
All right, starting in position 11, you got Chris Murakami, Alice Pleva on the outside of row 6, Jason Green and Flavio Andalo, 13th and 14th. First, I think this is his first Spec 2 car, Todd Hansen in 15th, alongside Masters driver Antonio Reis. The before-mentioned Visluzel and Elson on 17th and 18th, and then rounding out row 10, Christopher Smith and Michael Nelson.
Then we're into Thomas Renders in 21st with Pinheiro. Next to him, another Brazilian. Plenty of Brazilians. Great to see him all turning out here. Devin Kelleher. And he's got Andrea Favini, the Swede, for company on row 12. I have to think about it here. Jim Brewster has got Jeff Jacobson company in all-American row there with Kurt Nunes joined by Tom Gradwell, with row 15 being Jeff Cantor and Megan Overstreet. Well done in qualifying, 2 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, that's a little out of place for her. Aiden Campbell in 31st, Daniel Wood in 32nd. Then you've got Barry and Cathcart, 2 Aussies, on row 30. Position 33 and 34. McCain and Gould in 35th and 36th. Stephen Mitchell and Ian Gibson, 37th and 38th. Jesus Rodriguez and Caleb Pocock rounds out row 20.
Got to the top 40. Still keeps going. This is what we love about this series. Bradford Fisher has Tension Kramer company. An all Ohio row there. That's don't tend to see that too often. 2 states following up alongside one another, let alone 2 nationalities. Luca Leone has Paul Jackson for company on row 22. Charlie Vaccaro joined by Adam Bradshaw there. And Gary Walbolt has Pedro Carvalho for company there on row 24, with row 25 being Bob Kern and Andreas Bertoni.
And starting in position 51, Danny Mulder and Michelle Vaglini. In position 52, Jeff Horniak and Gianni Longan. And then Thor Tullo and then Kevin Adrian rounds out the grid at position 56.
Well, there we go. Just timed quite nicely as our leaders are going around through into Junkow and Porsche 911, the safety car. They're just heading off into the distance. Felix Samaus starting to back them up a little bit right now. Oh, there's a big gap down that left-hand side lane. I did hear over the voice comms, I think there might have been 1 or 2 little bumpings going on the start as everyone got away and just got themselves into order. They've all caught back up to this safety car. What is Samaus going to do? Is he going to bunch the field up? Is he going to go early? Leave it late? It's a risk either way, whatever he chooses to do. Gustavo Ariel alongside him on that front row. Castro looking incredibly racy, tucked up right behind. Everyone knows to tail as the safety car's in. As we are green, we go racing here from Interlagos in the second round of the championship. And there's a spinner, and there's already a big accident on the start-finish straight. Cars going around, but up in front, Gustavo Ariel swoops down from the outside to take the lead early on into turn 1. Samaus demoted, and a few cars caught up in that earlier incident. Vacaro's made big jumps. He's already up 11, and Mulder at 13 further down the field. But as they all come through turns 1, 2, and 3, we head down the Russa Riposta for the first time. to Decido Del Lago. Are we going to see any changes? We're too wide in the background, even looking for a bit of a free wide there. Murakami just spotting him, but already Ariel starting to pull out, and Castro has got ahead as Samaus, and the Portuguese driver dropping 2 places in these early stages. Not the starts he would have certainly hoped for. As we now move through the field, move through the track, through into turns 5, 6, 7. And everyone just starting to calm down a little bit and organize himself. While I say that, Tabino just having a little look up the inside there. And he's going to get that move done over Bobby West. As he's hung out right around the outside. West's not giving this up without a fight, being squeezed by the Brazilian out wide. And if he's careful, he could well lose a place here to a Les Plever, who's looking to take the opportunistic look, but can't get it done. It's Pino ahead of West. Oh, wow. What an opening lap, Charles.
It's crazy. We haven't even got the first lap finished yet. It was just chaos at the start. Lots of cars moved up. Lots of cars that are now having to play catch up. Looking down the list here, Jacobson's down 22. Michael Gene Nelson's down 31 positions. So obviously there's a little bit of chaos there, and they've got some work to do, but they've got another 38 minutes to get it done.
They have indeed. Looking like retirements are Pocock, but Tony, that's going for him. Nelson, Wood, Berry, not making the start was Adrian, Leone, and Taloga. So 3 cars not making the start, and 5 currently into the pits. As you mentioned, Jameson, he's out and running again, but right down to the back of the field. That big shunt early on really making a difference. So we see the challenge for the lead as Castro coming alongside his fellow countryman here. Looking like they're going to trade places. Yeah, gets the move done. There we are. Despite going defensive initially, this is a bit of a free wide further down through the field in the background. So they head through to Cedar del Lago. It's all swapping. This is a bit strange, isn't it, Charles? Normally, they're quite organised and just, you know, don't really attack one another and just form that breakaway group. But not here tonight. They're all swapping around left, right and centre as, well, ding, ding, round 2 between Tabino and Bobby West there.
Yeah, for sure. I think that there's probably a couple cars, like I said, as we talked about at the beginning, I think there's a few cars that may have not gotten a great qualifying effort. So maybe some cars out of position, and I think they're just trying to sort themselves out. Obviously, Castro and Ariel know each other quite well. I think they're just probably having fun up here to start the race. And, it'll get a little more serious later on.
Oh, it will do. Oh, it will do. It's already 3 minutes in, out of the 40s. Let's take a look at this replay. So this is what happened at the start. You see, Wood won the cars involved, and someone diving into the pits early on. They all just got in checking up, and wow, there was something that happened a little bit further through, and there's the big pilot. I can't even count how many cars. 10, 12?
Yeah, at least. And that's one of the downsides of big grids is you get, especially with this where it kind of funnels in and the track tightens up down the start-finish line. You get one car around, and there's just no place for the rest of these people to go.
No, definitely not. And to see through the field here, there's Jason Green, one of the few drivers not to lose or gain any positions. As just spotting a bit further down towards the front, Samaus has got past Ariel there for second place as well. There is... well, a Ford Spec racer without its front end, and let's see any damage more. That's Adam Bradshaw there, just making him getting past Bob Kernan, showing that, well, I might not have a front end, but I'm still going to grind this one out and try and make some progress. He's going to have to really put his socks up. 6.5 seconds nearly to Gianni Longen, who's ahead of him in 39th, who's one of the drivers to really capitalise on that carnage on the opening lap. He's up 15, not as many as Danny Mulder in 33rd. He's up 18, and your biggest climber so far is, I think Devin Killer has had a bit of an issue somewhere out on track. He's dropping a few places.
I see smoke.
Oh, yeah, I can see a car rejoining the track.
Yeah.
There we go. So keep an eye on the 67 there. What's going to happen? Oh, so lunge up the inside, gets the move done, but just loses the rear. So easy to do. All the weight in the rear with those engines being back there, and of course rear-wheel drive. Oh no, reverse it. We're okay. We're okay.
Right, there we go. Yeah. So and then you get on the curbs, which sometimes these cars are kind of deal with, and sometimes they can't. So I think just getting the car bouncing and try and get back on the throttle, and around she goes.
Yeah, these cars with the curbs, it's like the meme of, I can't fully say it because it's got a swear word in, but sometimes good, maybe good, sometimes maybe shiitake mushrooms. As we see, there we go. As we see Vice Lucial just making a bit of a move there, locked in a real battle here with Pinheiro, Favini and Smith, all trading and swapping around places right now. And so this is one of the troubles, isn't it? Because you can end up quite easily as we ride on board with Smith, and losing some places and losing a lot of time to the cars ahead of you is what we're seeing right now.
A little side by side. That corner is very difficult just by yourself. They did a great job to get through there too wide.
It's so easy to pick an off track there, isn't it? Where you can swing
really
out wide. I thought they were going to make that free wide then. No, they back out of it into turn 6. Still side by side as we see. Wow, Krista Smith has got the best view in the house as Weisslusel then just losing a place to Pinheiro, who makes his way through. Well, the Czechia, as they're now called the country, no longer the Czech Republic. This loses a place there to the Brazilian. And well, Brazilians absolutely flying here. The home race of the season so far. But can it continue? As though out in front, they've all swapped around again. Ariel is now ahead of Samals and Castro, who was our previous leader, now down to third, and Gasper's right behind them. That's why you can see this battle happening right now. Samal's on the outside of Ariel on the run down to turn 1. What is going to happen here? Pinheiro moves to the outside line. It's like NASCAR here. We've got those two lines forming, but they're all favouring the high line. Unless Samals just gets the move done. And, well, that's the difference between me and a pro driver, as Ariel just drifts it casually through turn 1. Samals, ooh. Is he going to slow down or something? Because he's lost a lot of time there.
There is a slowdown there. You can get a slowdown on the exit of that corner. So that is very possible what's happened. I think what you saw was a lot of the front drivers thinking they might want to gang up on Ariel if they can all get by him and keep him back down in the order a bit. Maybe they got a chance to pull off an upset win here. What I did notice also was Murakami had a good start. Monty was up in the top 5, and now he's bound in P9, and Murakami's passed him.
It's a big old breakaway pack, and, well, unlike usual, they are all, well, fighting with one another. It's normally a much more orderly affair, as I spoke about earlier. They are coming up on a back marker. So we'll have a look who that is. That's going to be Caleb Pocock, who's one of the drivers caught up in that earlier incident, and well down from where he expected to be. He's down 11 into 51st, and the last running driver out on track. He did head it into the pits and had to have a bit of damage repaired. So that's why he's so far down. And as good a driver as Pocock is, I'm sure he's going to get out of the way. I mean, getting out of the way of a battle of, you saw it, I'm sure we've all seen it at Sebring, let alone experienced it here on the iRacing service or any of the other available sims, is that getting out of the way of 2 free cars battling is, yeah, it can be a bit tricky, but it's doable. When you've got 9 coming through, I mean, how, Charles, how?
I think it's a little more similar to actually maybe NASCAR, where you've got the draft train coming and you're a car by yourself. Except here in this case, you're turning left and right, obviously. So that does add to the challenge a bit. But yes, being a car that maybe is damaged, so you're off the pace, and now you've got to deal with all these front runners. You just have to, stay offline and hope that you're not going to get in anybody's way, because obviously nobody in the race wants to take out the leader just, accidentally.
No, as much as we've all been there and experienced it, it does happen. As there is Bobby West, who's, well, up into, well, I'd say down. Actually, yeah, he's lost a bit of time, hasn't he? He's down into 22nd, so he's down 12 places. He was, well, having more battles, much higher up through the field earlier on, so something's happened to him He's come off track, and that's why he's dropped down. And he's trying to recover right now. That's Kurt Nunez ahead of him, the American. And then Gradwell, Smith, Brewster, Weisslusel, Favini, Pinero, and Thomas Renders, who has he's dropped a few places, and well, it's a little bit. No, sorry, I'm mixing up with Danny Mulder, his fellow countryman. That's why I was thinking, has he only gained 8? He's only gained 8, but then I'll put him inside the top 10 as Overstreet's had a bit of an issue somewhere. But yes, I'm mistaking him with Danny Mulder there. Apologies. He's up 15, and well, 2 cars ahead of him. Gianni Longin's now your biggest overtaker. He's up 20. Pretty respective. Formula Renault 3.5. The maximum grid size is 25.
Yeah, I was looking at Mulder's car. He's got some little bit of damage on the right-hand side. As I'm assuming there's a lot of cars on the grid at this point in time that have had some car contact, especially, as you said, Overstreet down in 41st, which is, I mean, she was out of place at 30th, I thought, but she's obviously really struggling today.
They've got a few drivers in very early on as well. So West, Smith, all in. Likewise, Hanson's already been in. Brad Cathcart, he's just currently heading out of the pits, in fact. There he is, and well, anyone who elected to start from the pits today may well have been the wise decision, considering what we witnessed. There's got a nice bit of 2-wide action here, down into the Cedar del Lago between the 18, 9, and 12. That's West and Todd Hanson there. Now, of the drivers that have stopped, McCain stopped on lap 1. That was obviously to repair damage, use his fast repair. So, likewise, Campbell has stopped. That was on lap 1, so the drivers caught up in those incidents. They're going to have to stop it again before they get to the end. So, your highest driver who has pitted is West. And yeah, well, he definitely make it, because he stopped around about the 11-minute mark, didn't he, Charles? So, he'll definitely make it through then. Oh, the 3:19. Starting to take a bit of a Fernando Alonso scenic position there. Pull out the deck chairs, enjoy the sun.
Yeah, taking a little break, a little rest stop. So yeah, I was looking at obviously Bradshaw's just trying to keep the car moving around the track. Obviously with no front end, he should be looking to get into the pits now at this point, right? He's got his fast repair. We should be in the pit window, or at least very close to that, with 13 minutes into the race. These cars are usually set up where they've got just enough fuel for, well, I take that back. Usually you can go about 30 minutes, so 30 out of 40, as we see him come into the pits now.
Yeah, also in with him was the 345 of Mulder as well. Ooh. Wes, that was nearly close to contact there, wasn't it, with Gianni Longin?
Yeah, it really
just
was.
Big switch there from the Italian, who, well, amazing collected it. I think any form of attack or contact from West would have sent him, turning around. But Hansen sensing the opportunity here as we go 3 wide down into the Cedar del Lago. Looks like Hansen's going to have the pair of them, or is he, as West runs wide?
Yeah, there's that off track in that corner, but there's plenty of room out there. You just have to hang on to it, and you can get back around. But yeah, three wide was never going to work there, so that was probably a pretty smart move by West to just say, okay, you know what, we'll come out here, we'll reset, we'll get back on track, and we'll try it again. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But you're probably like me, Charles, old enough to remember when there wasn't a very big runoff area there. It used to be a big, massive gravel trap.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, Formula One has. We don't get the broadcast until very recently. Formula One wasn't, a big deal in the 80s. It was hard in the 90s. It was hard to catch the races. So maybe I don't remember that, but it doesn't surprise me. I think that was the standard way of protecting drivers from going into walls, right? Was gravel traps.
It was indeed. It's just changed, quite a bit. Quite a few of them have large runoff areas now, and certainly not to the extent of certain track in France, which was dubbed basically a few lines painted on a car park by Sebastian Vettel. But Wow.
Yes.
Yes, it's definitely. At least it keeps its all the the sort of still the same in the natural lines, and they're not too often used. But then drivers at least able to not lose heaps of time or get beached in those gravel traps that they used to be. Castro leading the way. Ariel in second. Then we've got Gaspos, Panero, Samaus. He's down to fifth as the Portuguese driver. Arabian and Dantas, Dantas is starting to drop off a little bit. He's about half a second behind Arabian. We're starting to get a bit of a breakaway group on 6. Well, I say that. I mean, they're still all pretty close, realistically. As we see there is Arabian in the number 2 machine. As they all stream through. And realistically, this group ends at Antonio Race, who's in 10th. You can just see in the background there, Jason Green trying to stay onto the back of this group for the absolute dear life. There is Antonio Race there, right all over the back of Murakami. In fact, Marnie in ahead of them. That is your podium at the moment, and a freeway, well, what could end up being a real dogfight for your winner in your Masters class, as well as a change for the lead there, Ariel ahead of Castro.
Yeah, I was watching that. Obviously, being the old guy, I'm always rooting for the Masters guys to do well. Yeah, Monty Murakami Race, just throw a blanket over them. The gap's a little over a second between the 3 cars. They'll fight like this for the entire season. These will, seem to be the front runners in the Masters class.
So that's Panero just catching him and sneaking past David Gaspers there at the inside. He's up into 3rd. Castro did have a bit of a look there on Ariel, but elected just to tuck back in once again. So pretty much nose to tail, and it's amazing how much these drivers can get so close and remain there. There's a bit of rubbing there between Gaspos and Panero, squabbling away over 3rd, still side by side. To see Gaspers just keeping his nose in there and squeezing Panero out wide, and that's going to potentially allow Arabian to come in and take away that position of 4th from Panero, but no, can't quite get it done. Has to tuck back in once together as they all zip back in together. At least that's allowed Antonio Rice and Murakami just to rejoin a bit more up onto the back of Marnie. That's where that gap had grown for about 3 or 4 attempts. It's now down to, well, couple of attempts realistically between them, and they all bunch up, and I think Green's joined the party too.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's this, we see this all the time, is as soon as you get side-by-side racing, that just brings those cars that maybe were kind of dropping off the back of the field. They're just right back in there, as we see Jason Green moving to the outside here and looking for that spot. Got Race right in front of him. It was a good pass on Elson. That was a nice move on the outside. I'm just kind of watching. It looked like Ariel and Castro were just basically swapping first position. They'd get on the front straight and get that good run down the front straight, and and hand the position back and forth. It's just obviously we're almost halfway into the race. So still lots to be sorted before this is all over.
Oh, definitely. We've experienced this enough to know. Yeah, it might only be 20 minutes, but there's still a lot that can and a lot that will happen in this race. It might look at, well, I'll say a little bit orderly as we get a replay here. Let's take a bit of a look. So there's Caleb Pocock in the background, just blinking out a little bit. In and out. You shake it all about. You do the hokey, and I was about to say you lose the rear end just to fill out my rhyme, but no, he holds on to it, and yeah, this where he's blinking out, appealing like he'd had a bit of an incident, maybe, unless he loses the rear end here. No, he's all good. He's all good. As we saw the battles, as we saw the battles happening up in front of them with, well, that was Arabian there, just running a bit deep, relatively collecting it. No, so it's apologies, Felix Samaus, who is running in a bit deep. So there he is in the 31 machine. Well, they're all nose to tail of Samaus after starting on pole, down to 5th. Although, as we squeeze, we go too wide. And too wide again, swooping through and swooping down. Gasper's trying to catch Castro unawares there, and I think he might just get this one done, Charles.
He's got some help behind him. It looks like it's too wide. It's like it's like a too wide freight train going here down to the corner.
The only slight aid that Castro had was he would have had a bit of the slipstream from Ariel, but Gaspers has got his done. He kept his foot in there. I do wonder if there's maybe a bit of bump drafting going on from Panera to just try and push him along and get the move done. I think probably Panera just hoping he could squeeze his way through. He couldn't. Panera remains in fourth for now. As there is, well, Marnie's got ahead of Dantas, just putting a bit of fresh air between himself, Murakami and Race. They're following on through this group, and yeah, Green has really caught up onto the back of them now. So we've got 11 car fight for the lead at the 21-minute mark. I mean, there's breakaway packs, but that's probably one of the biggest breakaway packs I've ever seen in this series. It's normally about 6 or 7, maybe 8 if you're lucky.
Yeah, that is a very large breakaway. So I may have missed something. So we got a pretty good sized gap now between Ariel and Gaspers and P2. I guess I'm assuming that was just from the fighting that was going on between Gaspers, Panero, Castro, Samoas.
I would assume too as well. I mean, they were all really, all over one another and holding each other up massively from where they were scrapping away. Well, Samoas has just swooped past the pair of them, and Panero, so that drops a bit of time too. But just Gianni Longin is up 26 places right now. Although, does have Paul Jackson tucked right behind the Italian. So it might not stay as all. Elson and Renders, they are into the pits from 12th and 13th respectively. They've got a bit of a buffer. That big incident on the opening lap allowing some big gaps to open up, and these drivers just try and position themselves in there. There's Bobby West. So he is was the lead car of everyone pitted as Elson and Renders are on pit exit. So yeah, they're going to come out in front of West. And I do wonder, Charles, if with West, whether he got held up in traffic quite a bit. I mean, it seemed like he was struggling a little bit initially and getting caught into battles that he really did not want to be in.
Yeah, I think that's probably what happened. It was what we talked about before. Is sometimes you can do that early pit and you can use the train to pull you along, and you can just kind of leapfrog from group to group, especially if you've got a really good car, if you've got really good pace in the car. But then sometimes you're in a point to where you just kind of get bogged down and you're stuck and you can't really move. That may be what happened with West.
So there is Alan McCain, and a driver that, well, it's not a decent start. He's up 20 places, although he will drop back down again as he is, well, technically yet to pit. So there's, wow, Gustavo Ariel. What a gap he has opened up. I mean, when you mentioned about it, Charles, I think it was about 2.2 seconds, so he's pulled in another 1.3. But you can see why as, well, the fight is fully on here. Oh, Gaspers, he's dipped out and headed into pit row. Castro and Arabian. Arabian's really come up through this group and now trying to get up into second. Castro's, he's a wily old fox. He had him covered off. He saw it coming a country mile off. As Dantes and Green also bailing with Gaspers. They're into pit road. They will come out as the lead drivers. He will have pitted McCain, Kelleher, and Fisher all into the pits too. So looks like Gaspers has won that one. Gaspers will come out of the lead of these 3 cars between him, Dantes, and Green as well. Meanwhile, the battle for second that now reigns on. And for these guys, they realistically, I mean, if Gaspers, Dantes, and Green really organise themselves, although Gaspers has come out some 6 seconds ahead of Dantes and Green, they'll work together and they'll haul themselves up and make a load of time, because I get the feeling these guys are going to continue to battle unaware of what's happening behind them.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think the cars that are trying to chase down Ariel are going to have to get their pit stops. They're going to have to kind of work together. The only way that they're going to be able to catch him, if they can, is staying in line and running as a pack and hoping that extra, the tow between them can bring them forward. But even then, you know, obviously Ariel's got fantastic pace in anything he gets in. So it's going to be a tall order.
Just hearing smells there, Brent. Obviously, the natural line at its junk house to get out as wide as possible onto those like concrete that are interspersed with a bit of grass. I just love the sound that makes every time you run over it. I'm a complete and weirdo, aren't I? It's Felix Smells in, likewise Race and Marnie come in too. They're filling out this group. Murakami left out all by himself there, adrift from this group that are battling over second. Castro, Pinero, and Arabian. As where are the group behind of Samaus, Marnie, and Rice going to come out? We'll keep half an eye on that timing tower for Gaspers. Oh, Gaspers looks like he's going to jump the whole lot of them. Actually, no, he's... No, there is Gasper. There's Samaus on pit lane. So he's going to come out the pit lane exit. And I think Gaspers is just going to be in front here, Charles.
I think you're right. And I think it's just going to be Samoa's just going to jump in behind, grab the toe, and see if they can keep working forward as we see Race and Monty coming out behind them.
Just showing that. So sure. Yes, they've come out with yes, right into the path of Dantas and Green. I tell you, Thomas Renders, he's made up a fair bit of time, but still 5.6 seconds behind. No, apologies, 5 seconds behind these guys right now. So that's made up a bit of time during the pit stop phase. Yet to pit is Cantor, who's getting overtaken there quite a bit. He's leaving his pit stop late as we're on. Well, I say late. I mean, still only on minute 27. You know, we've seen pit stops all the way up until about minute 35 in the past. So, even so, yeah, everyone going for a bit of an earlier stop here today, except for our top 5, and obviously Cantor, who we can see on our screens right now. Jason Green just trying to get past him, desperate not to lose Dantas and Marnie and co in front of him. And I mean, surely if he doesn't get it done here into turn 1, then I think this is going to be, well, Green's chance of being on the podium, although it might have appeared a bit slim, completely and utterly gone. As well, we see the battle for second continue on yet again for another lap.
Yeah, they just keep making circles, and no, we're getting to the point to where they're going to have to start thinking about, okay, we got to come into the pits. We're 28 minutes into the race. Like I said, generally 30, 31 minutes is about all the fuel you have. Don't think, the way these guys have been racing, I don't think they're doing any fuel saving. So they're going to have to come in here pretty quickly. And then the last rush to see who's going to be up on those top steps at the end of the race.
It's just having a bit of a look through. Warbot and Jackson both into pit row right now. Also, Stephen Mitchell coming in, the Dane. Starting to get really deep into the race and approaching 3/4 race distance. And Ariel really, a bit of contact there. Gianni Longin having a bump with McCain. Well, McCain definitely coming off worse and not just losing, well, potentially a position there, but also definitely losing a chunk of time. Around about 6/10 along in.
Yeah, just like he turned in, wasn't expecting the car to be there. Don't know if he maybe lost, kind of his position on track, but it doesn't look like the cars are damaged, so they'll continue racing and just see if they can make up the time.
Fred's Arabian, he's bailed out of that fight for second and is into pit row. So, how much time has that group lost fighting compared to Gaspers, who's in 7th? He is the car to watch out for, as he is the lead driver of everyone who's pitted. However, Felix Samaus looking to have a bit of a look up the inside into turn 1, gets the move done. Terry Rice just behind. No, sorry, it's Flavio Andalo. Apologies. He's right behind them. Gaspers still ahead of them for now. There's Ferenz Arabian. Oh, he's lost a big chunk of time, hasn't he?
He ruled, and he has, and he almost lost the rear of the car there. He had to catch that as he came out. So yeah, I'm kind of looking at the timing and scoring. The last people that came in, their pit stop times as far as cone to cone was about 30 seconds. So you know that Murakami in P4 is 20. So he's 14 seconds ahead of Gaspers. He is 19 seconds ahead of Reyes. So it's going to be very interesting to see where they come out in relationship, because that was the battle before the pits. Was Reyes Monty and Murakami were all nose to tail.
Something's happened at Arabian stop, because he was stopped for 20 seconds, whereas the others are, ahead of Gaspers, who pisses a lot earlier, 3 laps earlier, in fact. He was only stationary for 9.3, Felix Miles 9.1, Antonio Rice, he's in that battle as well, 10.4. So you take that into consideration, something has happened there to the American as all. Murakami is in. He had fallen well back, so I was surprised to see him staying out as long as he has done. Whereas he could have come out into relation to Antonio Reyes and Jorg Mani, 8th and 9th overall at the moment, 2nd and 3rd in class as things stand. However, Murakami into the pits, and Darlow bails. He's in too.
So this is going to give you a good cue, because obviously we were talking Reyes. Murakami was 5 seconds behind Castro and Panero.
Yes.
So we'll look to see where he comes back out on track after his pit stop. It looks like he's lost. Wow, it looks like he's lost 4 seconds on the group he was battling, Rice and Monty.
It does, yes. He had dropped off the slipstream off of Castro, Panera, and what was Arabian, who was just seeing a brilliant overtake there as him and Bobby West swooped past Les Plever. He was stuck out on the outside there and lost 2 places in one corner. He's just seen Murakami just ahead of them there. Equally just in front of him, that's Steve Elson and Thomas Renders as well. Gianni Longin, still your highest overtaker. He's gained 22 positions, of course. But Tony, we lost very early on. For a while, he would have had that title. He loves to have it every single weekend. Warriors. Look back from Elson. That is Renders behind us. Oh, our leader is in. Gustavo Ariel is into the pits. Likewise, Castro, Panero all come in. So let's keep half an eye. There he is on David Gaspers. What time has he managed to make up? Certainly against Castro and Panero. As into the pit box comes Ariel. There arrives Castro and Panero.
Oh, he split it. There's the 36 car.
Oh, I think Castro's just overshot his box. I think he has. There we go. The German has lost. David Gaspers. Actually, no, he's not. He's gained, hasn't he? Look at that. Yes. I was about to say he's lost. Apologies about that. No, completely the opposite. He's gained about nearly a whole second over Panero. Samels has lost a whole chunk of time as well.
Yeah, it really has. And I think he actually gained time on Ariel as well, because the gap's 3.7, which feels like that's tightened up. And obviously, still a little bit of work to do yet. But yeah, Gaspers made the right call. Coming in when he did, because he's able to take up P2.
Bailed out of that battle and into 2nd place goes David Gaspers. Meanwhile, see this battle. What was there? About a 10-car battle for 2nd place is now dumbed down to a 5-car battle for 5th. Marnie, Rice, Castro, Green, and Dantas all involved in that one. Of the 4 Brazilians inside the top 10, we're now down to just the 3. Our leader, Castro, and Dantas being those Brazilians. Spino, with the other one who was in there, he has dropped all the way down to 16th as Plever has passed West there up the inside. Lovely little move from him. And obviously, remember, only a few corners ago, lost 2 places into turn 1 to West and Arabian. Arabian's really scampered up off the road. Driving that car in anger right now after that extensively long pit stop. I mean, he lost 10 seconds in it. If he hadn't have done that, he would have been ahead of Jorgmani in 5th place. That's the amount of time it's really cost Arabian.
Yeah, I think the only thing I can think of is is one of two things happen. Either he had a little bit of damage that he wanted to get cleaned up, maybe some that was, you know, a little bit of optional repairs, which he just didn't want to use as fast repair, or he didn't have his fuel or his tire set properly. That's the only thing that really kind of stands out. Is why he was 10 seconds longer in the pits.
I get the feeling it's going to be the latter rather than the former, Charles. As we see Castro squeezes it up the inside there. Jorg Mardi, lovely little move. Oh, wow. Didn't lose too much time, if any, really, on Antonio Race. So Castro, the man to watch out for right now, but Mardi coming straight back out of him. Don't discredit Green. He's really into this fight. And also, Dantas on the tail end of them. He's still in with a shout of Nick picking up a few places here. But right now, it's Antonio Race leading this group. Castro, Mardi, Green, Dantas. As he said, 5-car battle all over 5th places. Up ahead, they're all starting to space out a bit, although Panera is catching up on Gaspers. Only 3 attempts between those two right now, so that's going to go all the way down to the wire, as we have got 3.5 minutes left on the clock here for round 2. The SRF, the Weekend Warriors with Race Voice. So look back from Gaspers. There is Panero. That's what 3 attempts looks like in Interlagos.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be 2 laps left at the line for these cars. I believe that's going to be right.
Yes.
We're getting to the getting down to the nitty gritty here to see what to see who's going to get those. I think now I don't know. It's now down to 3 seconds, so I'm not sure if Gaspers has. No, wait. This okay. There's something going on. Ariel's way off the pace.
Well, look, his time is tumbling. I wonder if he's had I did spot as they came through. We were looking back from Gaspers there. There was a big puff of smoke into turn 1. I think he might have locked up potentially. Or a bit of a half spin or something, because look, his tumble down is within 1.6 seconds. And if he's had a half spin, Charles, those tyres will be screaming right now for the Brazilian.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, those tires will be hot, and it's going to make every corner that much more difficult to maintain control of the car. So yeah, I think we may have a battle for the win here. This, you know, didn't look like it 30 seconds ago, but now, you know, these guys are in full song, so they're doing everything they can to make up that additional second and a half to make this a close finish.
Castro's got ahead of this group, though, in the battle for 5th. He's got past Antonio Rice, who's the leader in Masters. Marnie just behind him, 2nd in Masters. Murakami's 3rd in classes, well down. He's 5 seconds off the back of this battle. Todd Hansen, he's leading Spec 2. He's had quite a race. I haven't mentioned him too much, but Kane's climbed up to 3rd in class, 20th overall, with Kelleher, who's, well, about half a second behind McCain. So that's going to go quite close, potentially, in the battle. Who comes 2nd and 3rd in class, but they are sitting comfortably ahead of 4th place Smith.
So, Tim, I'm going to throw Patero up to P2, but I'm going to throw a little stat. His pit stop was 2 seconds slower. I'm sorry, 2 seconds faster being stopped than everybody else. So he's short fuel. So that makes you wonder if there's going to be more drama up at the front of this field when it's over. And I know Panero did that a lot last season. He was one of those guys that really took gambles on pit stop strategy, under fueling the car.
Arabian's lost a bit of time here because West is caught up back to back of him. White flag is in the air. So we have got 1 lap left to go as, well, they're all chopping and they're changing here. This in the battle for 11th place right now. Renders, Arabian, Tabino, West and Hansen all scrambling one another as they head down the red Aposta for the last time down to the Sea Largo. Who's going to be the last? Lorraine Bakers. Well, Arabian going to make the move right around the outside, the long way around. I tell you what, West can sense that Renders was slow off the corner, so he's going to pick up a place too. Meanwhile, Castro leading from race as well in this battle. They remain pretty much as they were for the last lap. There is your leader, Gustavo Ariel, that is pulled out around about half a second over Panero, who's got past Gaspers right on the final lap. As they come through to Yonkau for the final time Looks like Ariel bar some drama is going to take it, but it's all going to be about that battle to the line between Gaspers and Panero. They go side by side. You can just see in the background, Gaspers just tucking in once again. It's going to be a scramble. Who's going to get it? Gaspers swoops out wide once again. Panero on the inside as Gaspers tries to make the move. Driver's right at Panero. Ariel takes it, but who's going to get it? Gaspers, I think he's just ahead as he nicks it at the line by 0.04 of a second.
Wow.
And a cracking finish. Samal's fourth, and well, it's a race to the line here, and Castro could lose the battle for fifth. But no, he's got it.
I'll see your 400ths of a second, and fifth to sixth is 4,000ths of a second.
That's why we love it. We're not done yet. As Tom Hansen and Bobby Weston Sabino come across the line. Oh, they separated by. That's going to be pretty close between those guys as well. Not done yet as Renders battling out with Plevet. There you go. 0.03 of a second, Charles. We've got the times coming down here, the gaps.
Jeez.
Anyone else want to give us that? Here we go.
Yep. 26 and 27.
Vaishlosil and Brewster, is he going to nick it from him? What was the gap between those two?
A mile, 9,000.
Oh,
I mean, yeah.
Rookie numbers. Absolute rookie numbers between those two across the line. I think, well, it's just starting to calm down a bit. I hope she just caught her. I mean, I haven't really mentioned all race long. Comes home 35th. That's a real disappointing one for the American. And the poor qualifying and, well, poor race pace. I think she did get caught up in that early incident on the start line as well. Not really happening. But now, here we go. What can Wood and Kramer do? Well, Kramer's got the advantage here. Is Wood going to squeeze in and go for the second bite of the cherry? It could be too much, as yeah, just giving a bit too much room there to Trenton Kramer.
Oh.
Come on, guys. 0.05 of a second.
I know.
Oh, dear. Wow. Big grids, big action, and ridiculously close finishes once again. Let's take you through some classified results here from round 2 of SRF Weekend Warriors, presented by racers from Interlagos in Brazil. And while it's a Brazilian on top, Gustavo Ariel takes the victory from Gaspers Panero, running out your podium. And it's Felix Samaus and Dudu Castro in the end. Well, I mean, the official live is here, time and scoring, they're showing them. Castro and Rice coming across the line with exactly the same time. So it was ever so slightly ahead was Castro over Rice, but Rice picking up that victory in Masters. Yugmani, second in class, 7th overall with Green. Dantas, 8th and 9th. And Chris Murakami, 3rd in Masters, rounding out your top 10.
Starting in 11th, we've got Friends Arabian, Joao Tabino in 12th. Todd Hansen is the top of the Spec 2 class in 13th. Bobby West, Andalo, Nunez, Pleva, Renders in 18th. And McCain and Kelleher finish out the top 20.
Christopher Smith takes up 21st. Then it's a trio of Masters with Kraftcart and Cantor taking it to 24th. By Schlusel in 25th. Then it's Brewster, Campbell, Vaccaro in 28th. With 29th being Bradford Fisher and Gianni Longin. Rounds out your top 30.
Wobolt in 31st. Paul Jackson, Megan Overstreet, 33rd. Really seems like that's out of place for her. Mulder as well, 34th. Bradshaw manages to get 35th after missing half his car for the first half of the race. Steven Elson in 36th, which was, I guess, kind of disappointing after last week's race for him. Bob Kern, Ian Gibson in 38th. And then Trenton Kramer and Daniel Wood round out your top 40.
41st was Brazilian Pedro Carvajal, whose first two drivers won the lap down. Likewise was Jeff Horniak, with 2 laps down being Faglini. Mitchell, 5 laps down. Then we're getting into the retirements here with Favini, Pocock, Berry, Jacobson, In 48th, there's Pinero, Rodriguez, and Gould, who both lost 17 laps ago. And then into, well, the incident at the start, basically, it's Nelson, Bertoni, Leone, Tula, and Adrian to run at your 56 car field here. He said grid then. But let's have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers. And I'll tell you what, normally we start with a leader, but I'm going to break tradition here because I think we need to have a chat with David Gaspers and just talk to him all about that run to line. David, welcome along. Talk us through that final lap. I mean, Marco Pinero was absolutely all over you for the last few laps. And then, obviously, he gets ahead of you. Just talk us through that second half of the final lap.
Well, it was just sitting behind until the last corner. I was a bit too close then, so I took a bit over a wider line. The draft is just way too strong here. I'm happy that we are finally at a track next week where you can't just drive by until the line.
Well, you can't argue with that one, really. I mean, the absolute power move. Well, congratulations to you for having the guts and really backing yourself to allow Pinero to go past and then just run it to the line. I definitely wouldn't have had that. I still would have defended. But you pitted early, broke away from that group. What was your thoughts behind that one?
Yeah, the fuel savings were getting a bit stupid. At some point, we were at times going 2 seconds slow when compared to after the stop. So I wanted to get a bit more towards the front of the group, but while doing that, I made a mistake, which cost us the draft to Gustavo. And the others didn't really seem to want to work together to catch back up to him. Instead, we were doing 4 wide on the straight for some reason, so I didn't want to be a part of that anymore.
I could completely understand that sentiment, definitely. But wow, the strategy absolutely worked to a T. You jumped a lot of drivers. Congratulations, that's David Gaspers, who finished second here today at Interlagos. Well, Charles, who do you take your pick? Do you want Antonio Race or Gustavo Ariel?
Well, being the old guy, I'm going to have to pick Antonio, the Masters winner today. Antonio, wow. So we were going, we were watching the end of the race, and we thought 4,000ths of the second. I think between you and Castro at the line. So just amazing, very, very tight finishes amongst all the cars. So it seems like you and Monty made an early call to go into pit early, and it kind of worked out for you.
Yeah, good night, everyone. Yeah, it was. We was talking on the Discord, and me and Manny, so we decided to pit together at that time. It did work for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you were running with Jorg and Murakami, and then Murakami stayed out, and by the time you guys came back around, you had a pretty sizable lead, like 4 seconds, I think. From him pitting later. So looked like a pretty, I think you started in the teens as far as your starting position. So talk about the beginning of that race. Were you anywhere around the that initial accident, and how did you manage to make it through if you were?
Yeah, it was a little scary. I don't know how I managed to go through that, but well, somehow I survived, and it was. I was just trying to, to have fun with these guys because we know each other and we have a good relationship. So I was just trying to not ruin anyone, and yeah, and then it was a few accidents actually. And I was hitting Chris once. I don't know if you saw that, but I did hit his rear once, and so other than that, was a very clean race.
Well, congratulations on taking the Masters win for the race today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and goodbye. Good night.
Good night.
That's another driver caught up in that, cacophony, the symphony of chaos from that incident. Alan McCain. Alan, I mean, just from your perspective, just talk us through it. And you were one of the victors out of it, picking up 16 places today.
At the start, there was a little coming together, shall we say,
Yes.
in the warm-up lap. It was unexpected. It just happened out of nowhere, and from there I thought my race was over. So I just sort of into the pits, kept the cool head into the pits, took the fast repair, and came out and just started chasing them down. Little did I know there was an accident on the start-finish straight, or where turn 1 or wherever it was, which helped me massively. And then I just kept plugging away and passing people and passing people and passing people, and I got to where it was, and then Devon gave me a good challenge there at the end.
He definitely really did. I mean, 700ths of a second at the line. I mean, do you find it was almost that, look, I don't know what's going to happen, and you just drove the race with, dare I say, almost that sort of carefree attitude that you feel really helped you a bit here today?
No, I wouldn't say carefree. It was more, I was trying just to keep it as clean as possible. Obviously, things happens and accidents happen, but I was trying to be as clean as possible, which has sort of stayed in my stead. So
Definitely. Well, it worked out for you. Picking up second in Spec 2, 19th overall, and up 16 places. Congratulations, Alan. And
I correct you there. It was actually first because Todd Hansen's no longer Spec 2.
No, he's not, is he? So you're absolutely spot. So the win. Apologies, even better then. Well, this is a cracking result considering all that happened then. Well, congratulations, Alan McCain there. Your winner in Spec 2. Get it right, Timothy. Get it right. And, well, let's round things out with a quick chat to if he's appearing on mute. Can you hear us, Gustavo?
Yeah, it was a
There
really
we go. There we go. We've got him. Save the best till last.
hello.
There you go. You can hear us okay, Gustavo. Lovely. Save the best till last. Winner here today. That's 2 victories from 2 in this series.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say a big thank you to my team again. Very busy this last weeks because yesterday we have the Sibling 12 hours, so yeah, in this week we have the PESC. So yeah, I'm trying to squeeze my time to drive every car that I like it. But this is my favorite track, so I needed to do that one, and I did again 3-4 laps before quali, and this car is very tricky to put a lap. To see the braking point on turn 1, it's quite tricky to nail it on only a few practice, but I think I did a good job. I did a very good qualifying behind the guys in the draft. And starting on the front, it's quite quite used to it to save fuel, so it's an advantage for me, I think, driving all the cars. And I managed to save fuel. And when the guys start to battle, I put my pace on the middle of the race, and I could build some gap. And after the pit stop, it's only managed that and bring the haste home. So I'm very happy with this victory because it's my favorite track. It's one of my favorite cars right now. On the last week, I did my first race on this car, and I already love it. And thank you so much, guys, from the Weekend Warriors. And let's see on the next one what you can do.
Let's see if you can make it free for free. And well, towards the end of the race, I think it was the penultimate lap. You lost a lot of time. Actually, I think we might have been entering the final lap. There was a bit of puff smoke. What happened on the entrance into turn 1? Did you sort of slide the car?
Well, I pay attention in other things on my PC, and I lose completely the eyes from the track. But when I look to the screen again, oh my god, I'm going to to crash in the wall on turn 2. But yeah, only always miss like 2 seconds, so it was quite scary because David's it's catching me like almost on the draft. So what I'm doing? But I think after that, let's put the eyes on track again. And yeah, but it was a very close one. I need to solve some things on my PC, and but yeah, the victory is here, so I'm still happy. But yeah, let's take a look on these and solve the problem.
Oh, definitely. Well, just goes to show even the pros can make mistakes. And as someone with 9,000 less I rating than yourself, it's slightly reassuring. Although, as equally as infuriating in some ways, someone who could just jump in the car and be so ridiculously quick. But that's why you're a pro. Well, good luck for Pesk next weekend. How do you fancy your chances? Do you think you're going to have a good result there?
Well, Basque this year for me, it's my first year, so I'm quite struggling to be honest. I'm not on my main, not on my best shape of driving. So yeah, we are on the back of the pack, on the table. But yeah, I put a lot of hours for Red Bull this week. Let's see. It's one of my favorite tracks. If we can do like top 10 on the 2 heats, will be very good. On the contenders, we finished the championship on second place. Was quite very good because I won the last 2 rounds and something. But the qualifying on these races, it's so important. So the guys are doing some tricks like to warm up the tires, and I'm not getting used to that. But I will put more hours and let's see what happens. But race pace is there because we have the best drivers in the world. So hey, race pace is the same for everyone, but qualifying is crucial. So I think for the second part of the championship, we are there. We're getting there.
Definitely. Well, congratulations, Gustavo. 2 wins from 2, and well, we'll see how you get on in a week's time. And good luck for Pesk there. But well, it's we're running over the time limit now, and I've had a polite reminder from our producer Lewis as well. Charles, closing thoughts on today.
Wow, I'm so glad I took Ron's advice and installed the seatbelt in my office chair that he mentioned last week. I just, I love this series. It's so much fun to watch these drivers go at it, the strategy involved, and it's just going to be a great season.
Definitely buckle up for the crazy ride that is the SRF Weekend Warriors, presented by Race Voice. I've been Tim Cox with Lewis Araya and Charles Bashal. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you in a week's time when the championship returns.